Hi friends, LJ Malberg with CoMuse. This week we are doing part 4 of a 4-part series on confidence. And this week we're talking about growing your confidence by growing your network. Oh yeah, networking. Creative entrepreneurs and networking. Some might say they're like oil and water. No, it is so not true. Networking has changed my life. It's been a major part of my career. I am so grateful for my network and my community. I would not be here without them. And there's so many useful, wonderful things that can happen in building a genuine network, which stems from genuine confidence and interest and curiosity, right? Things that can connect us and unify us with others that may be of like mind. They may not. They may think totally differently about things. Either way, I think that's a really good thing because that challenges us to think different and grow. This week, we're going to talk about what networking is and why it's important to creative entrepreneurs specifically. And we're going to do 4 exercises or talk about 4 practices that you can put into place right now to grow your network and do it with growing your confidence by way of your inner confidence. And I just love this so much because it, like I said, it's changed my life. And I hope by the end of this episode, you will walk away with some tools in your tool belt to help change yours. And if you've already heard of these and this is just a refresher for you, I hope it's helpful to have these reminders. So thanks for tuning in. Just as a quick disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. I am a mindfulness practitioner, a student of Buddhism, a meditation teacher for 25 years. And I am a veteran in the music and entertainment space for 30 years. And I am a professional executive coach as well as specialize in win-win outcomes for individuals and teams by way of workplace culture design. So lots going on over here. And in addition to that, I run a beautiful mindful work community for creative entrepreneurs in music, media, arts, and entertainment. Just an incredible community of very lovely humans who want to shift the way we work together in creative spaces for good. So if you're interested in finding out more about CoMuse, you can go to comuse.work, and I will link that below as well for you to check out. We have a 7-day free trial happening right now, so you can check it out for free, and all the good stuff that we have to offer in there. Let's talk about networking. Networking is, I would say it is probably at least 30% of my success. I can point to 30% of my success directly to networking. That is a lot. Hard work? Sure. Great work ethic? Check. Great communicator? Working on it. But networking is to me a pinnacle of my career, a tenet, if you will, of one of the reasons why I have been successful in this industry for so long. So let's talk about what it is and what it's not. So most people, when I talk to people about networking, and I mentor a lot of people, a lot of young people at the university level, and they're scared of it. There's a lot of fear around networking. As people get older, creative entrepreneurs that I work with get older in age and further away from university, I think the fear maybe is still there, but it's turned into, it's morphed into frustration and even hate. I hate networking. I hear that a lot. There's a lot of negative connotations that happen around networking, and it does not have to be that way. It can actually be really fun. But it does take a little bit of reframing of our thinking in order to get there, because you are physically putting yourself out there. And for those of us who are introverts, who just love working from home, if at all possible, whenever possible, and want the opportunity to live in our homes even more when networking events are happening, it's a little bit daunting to think about getting ready and going out and putting ourselves out there to strangers. So stay with me until the end, because we are going to have some pretty cool exercises that we can work through that I think will really be helpful and hopefully fun for you to put into practice. So it is important as a creative entrepreneur to network. I myself take networking calls on Mondays and Fridays. I actually have dedicated work blocks carved into my calendars. I have more than one calendar carved into my calendars that are dedicated for networking. So anytime I am introduced to someone or I have introduced myself on LinkedIn, et cetera, I try to get a half-hour virtual coffee with people. My husband and I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. So most of my networking meetings are virtual coffees. And then when I do travel and I get to big cities, I try to follow up and have those coffees for real. But Mondays and Fridays, as I said, so very intentional about the amount of time that I dedicate to networking. What do I want out of networking? Well, it's pretty simple. It kind of falls into a few different buckets for me. The first bucket is I just want to meet another cool human being on the planet Earth and learn about them and what they do and what lights them up. Truly, sometimes that is all a networking call is, or a meeting. And I get a lot out of that. And it's okay that there's no transaction happening at the end of our time together, or that it may not look like it's heading towards a transactional opportunity. That's okay. I am in a place in my business where I'm fortunate enough that I don't need more clients right now, which is great. That is a very lucky place to be. I've worked very hard and for very long to get here. And it may change in the future. It has changed over the years. Sometimes it ebbs and flows as life goes. However, even when I was not making much money and I was not working with as many clients as I would have liked, I would have calls just to get to know people. I think this is a really good practice in listening and exchanging information, because you never know how many people they know that they can introduce you to, and how many people I know that I can introduce to them, right? So it becomes an exponential networking game, which I love. And for people who network often, you know exactly what I mean, right? Everybody seems to be 1 degree, maybe 2 degrees of separation in the creative spaces. We all know each other through somebody. And it's such a small world and such a small community of people, really, even though there's millions of us. I really appreciate it for that. So that's one bucket and one reason to network. Another reason to network is because you want to figure out how to help somebody else. And I'm going to reframe this in the way most people think about it, which is, I need a job and I need somebody to give me a job. Okay, so that's one way to think about it. but you can reframe it in, I'm going to figure out how I can help somebody else. That is also a job. But many people don't think about it that way. This is the more compassionate way to think about it, to be of service to others in a way that they need the help. And so often when I am teaching or mentoring in networking, I ask people to figure out who is in the room and that they're going to be networking in, who is in the room. Maybe there's an invite list and they can do some research on the people that will be attending. There's a roster if it's a conference, so on and so forth. Try to figure out who might be there and figure out how to help 3 people before you arrive. Figure out how to help 3 people before you arrive, utilizing your strengths, right? So that might take a little bit of research and ingenuity to get in there and learn more about these people. And something to keep in mind is even the folks who seem like they all have it together and they know everything, it ain't true, folks. We are all struggling with something. We are all struggling with something. And we all need help in certain areas. And I think to assume that people have it all together is, it's a way of othering. It actually is a divider way to think rather than a unifier way to think. And since this channel is all about bringing people together with compassion and mindful work, I choose to think about it as everyone is struggling with something, and I am going to figure out how to help them in the way that might be of use to them. Now, just because I figure that out doesn't mean that they need it, and it doesn't mean that they need it right now. But you will stand out to them. You will stand out to them because you have shown up with genuine interest, which can translate to genuine confidence from the inside out, wanting the desire to help them and their business grow. Such an important distinction to approach networking this way. It's much more interesting to talk to people in this way because it helps you stay in a curious mindset. And we've talked about in a prior episode, an open-heartedness, an open mindset, trying to figure out how you might be able to help somebody is such a beautiful way to approach a collaboration or create a job for yourself versus I need me, what are you gonna give me? Which is, I can appreciate being in that mindset. I have found myself in that mindset, but it is very short-sighted and it is very transactional. It is just, what are you gonna give me? It's not a two-way street. It is, how can I help you be successful? And in return, you're gonna help me be successful because you're going to pay me, whatever that looks like, right? Or we're going to barter and we will rise together. And that's such a beautiful way to approach creative collaborations for creative entrepreneurship. Some of my best partnerships have been created out of solving problems for people that they needed help with, but they didn't know how to solve them themselves. And I had strengths in certain areas, and it was complementary. And it started real small, in some instances so small that they were like little side hustles that I just thoroughly enjoyed working on with them, and grew to enterprise solutions practically. Just really lovely. You never really know where things are going to go. So again, just really staying in that open mindset. You do want to arrive with an action plan in place. So we talked about helping 3 people. That can be part of your action plan. You could have a plan to talk to 20 people. I'm going to talk to 20 people while I am in this networking room. And I'm going to learn their names, and I'm going to learn something about them that I can't Google them on. I just made that up. But so be interesting. Be interesting if you want people to be interested in you. Be interesting and be interested in others, more importantly. Yeah. Ask interesting questions. Be curious. Have a plan, right? If you are looking for a job, that's awesome. Networking is such a beautiful place, an opportunity to be able to find out what sorts of jobs are out there right now. Maybe it's not a job that you're looking for, but maybe you know someone else that's looking for that job, and you can help someone get a job, right? It will come back to you tenfold. That's not a statistic, but that's my experience. There's a lot of karma in being helpful to other people. If you're looking for a job, another thing that you can do to approach networking from a positive stance and exude your inner confidence is know your core values. Know your core values. Know your intrinsic core values. This is your essence, or your North Star, as I like to call them in the exercises that I do with our CoMuse community. It's who you are in a handful of words. I mean, you're so much more, but it's the essence of who you are, right? Some of my core values are creativity, compassion, intuition, love, integrity, right? So I live by these words because they're who I am. I just show up and I am this way. Your core value words, if they're in your front of mind, top of mind, when you approach a networking opportunity, allows you to know how to align your values with what the opportunity is. So in other words, if you're talking to someone who does have a job that is available and they're looking to hire someone, you can ask them questions about this job that might be aligned with your core values. How creative is this job? Since creativity is one of my core values, I might ask that question, right? What is the culture like at this job? I'm a very compassionate person. How compassionate are people at this job, right? If that's important to you. Is there space at this job? You know, how much space is there? Open-ended question. How much space might there be to practice intuitive decision-making? You know, are you wanting, is this a data-driven company, or are you wanting an element of intuition to play a role in decision-making at your company? Right? Interesting questions, interested questions for others that are aligned with your own core values to better understand, this job is available. How aligned is it with me and my values? Because I can tell you this, if you can find a job that is aligned with your values, or you create a business that is aligned with your values, it doesn't feel like work most of the time. And I do say most of the time because, of course, there are going to be days that are crappy, and of course there are going to be days that are just a grind. That's just business, and that's the nature of things. But most days it feels like creative dreams. I don't know how else to put it. I wake up every day feeling lucky to be able to do this work. I truly mean that. I am genuinely ecstatic I get to do this work. This is like my life's work. It took me a while to figure it out, but I'm here. and I'm so grateful for it. Aligning my core values with what I do every day is, it reminds me when shit hits the fan or bumps in the road happen, why I do what I do every day. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's not so bad. All right, so we talked about helping 3 people. We talked about coming with an action plan. We talked about core values, understanding your core values and how that might translate into how you might be helpful with someone else through a collaboration or a job, or even aligning it with a business that you're creating for yourself. Once you leave the networking situation, follow-up is huge. Not following up is not successful networking. You must follow up with the people that you've met if you want to network successfully. And I like to follow up with people that I'm interested in staying in touch with information that I think would be helpful to them or be interesting to them. Often I'll share an article that I read that I thought of them, genuinely thought of them, and reached out and said, hey, I thought of you. I read this and I wanted to share. I hope you're well. Stay in touch. Let me know what you think, right? And that is the beginnings of growing your network. This person is now a new person in your network, and you've exchanged information and you've followed up. This can go on indefinitely until maybe they do business with you in somehow, some way, or they become friends with you, which many of the people in my network have become, and I'm so grateful for that. Or something else, or maybe sometimes it's just meant to be, you're in touch for a short while and you follow up a few times and things drift, and that's okay. Maybe you just send them an annual holiday card, which is also lovely. But there needs to be, at some point, an action in your mind as to what to do with the follow-up. And that's why earlier on I was talking about buckets, right? So is this the bucket of nurture, where there is no call to action with this person? I don't really see much overlap in us working together or collaborating together in the near future. So I'm going to put them in my friend bucket, and I will send them an article from time to time, and I will send them a holiday card or a holiday email, or I like to text, Happy Mother's Day to the moms out there in my network, and Happy Father's Day to the dads out there in my network, things like that, right? That's the friend nurture bucket. Or is it a collaboration bucket? The collaboration bucket requires a little bit more frequency of nurture and proactivity, because we're moving the conversation forward into some sort of a business action. So I think just having the mindset that it's okay to have these 2 buckets, and just because there's people in the friendship bucket or the nurture bucket doesn't mean you drop them and you fall off the face of the earth, or as we say these days, ghost them. That is not a great way to build a network. And as I mentioned before, this industry is super small, and burning bridges is not the way to go. So I highly recommend nurture. And remember these people when you're in their area. Let them know you're going to be in the area. Maybe you can get a real coffee with them instead of virtual. All of this shows up as you know yourself. You have been thoughtful and intentional about how you want to show up. And this exudes genuine, intrinsic confidence. It's such a wonderful way to practice being who you are at your core and aligning it with how you speak to other people. and growing your network, because as you all know, and I say this often, in the creative spaces, nobody is an island. At some point, we are collaborating or working with someone else or many others in order to do our best work. And I'm not talking about creatives that are just creating for art's sake, and that will be definitely a segment that we'll do here. Art for art's sake is a huge topic and passion of mine. However, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about work, creative entrepreneurship, and creative business. So when we are turning our creativity into a business, we can't do it alone. I think there are a select few who might argue, well, sure, I make videos, I record them, I edit them, I put them up online, I put the music on together, I tag them, and I respond to everybody that comments, and I'm a one-person shop. And that's amazing. If that's you, that's amazing. However, I could argue that your fans that are watching you are part of your network, and you rely on them to grow your channel. So at some point, there is an intersection with other people. And I think it's really important to honor and be mindful of that as you grow. So I hope these action items were helpful and practical, and something that you can put into practice right now to grow your network in a real and authentic way, and to help you feel more confident from the inside out. And of course, like in all of my episodes, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how these things go for you, how it's working. If it's not working, or maybe there's something that you do that I did not list here, I would love to hear that too. Keep on keeping on, my friends. I'll see you next time. Compassion rocks. Bye.